Hi everyone, today we're going to take a look at the Playwright CLI so you can automate your browser, generate tests right in Goose. Let's take a look. So the first thing you need to do is you need to run this command globally to install the Playwright CLI. So I've already done that, so you can go ahead and do that. And then basically I've got a project set up here in VS Code. And it's just got nothing in it, only I've installed Playwright because I want to write tests, but everything else is pretty empty. So now I can go down into Goose. I'm using Goose Coding Agent. You could use whatever agent you prefer. And from here, we can now install the skills that the Playwright CLI gives us. So we can basically just put in the command Playwright CLI install -- skills. And this is going to install the skills that the Playwright CLI has so that it can do all the cool things that we want it to do. So look over there in VS Code, we can see what has been installed. So let's take a quick look. So I've got a CLUD folder, and inside here I've got a skill file and a references folder. So the skill file gives me all the skills that the Playwright CLI has, so all the things it can do. And then the references are those extra information it has for request mocking. It can run Playwright code, session management, storage state. We got text generation, tracing, and we've got video recording. Now, these are really, really cool, like video recording, capture browser automation sessions as video for debugging, right? Test generation. Every action you perform with Playwright CLI generates corresponding Playwright TypeScript code, and this code appears in the output, can be copied directly into your test file. Wow. So this is the cool things that it can do. Now, this is in a .clod folder, and we can still work with it in .clod, that's fine, but I'm just going to change it to a Goose folder. So now that we've got that done, let's take a look at how it actually works. Remember, first of all, we're using Goose to have the skills extension already activated. So, just search for it here if you can't find it and make sure that's activated. Then you'll be able to use the Playwright skills. So that's the first thing you do actually need to do. All right, so what can we do? Well, we can basically say Playwright CLI, open, or just, we'll do open debbie.codes. This is just my website, and I want it to basically open a browser and just go to the particular website. So you can see there, it's loading the skill name, Playwright CLI, and it's going to open the browser and navigate to debbie.codes. Great. So what can we do from there? Well, the browser's now open, it says, and the browser session default is active. Take a snapshot to see the page structure. Take a screenshot. We can take a screenshot. Let's do that. Take a screenshot. Take a screenshot. You can click on elements, fill forms, navigate further, or you can close the browser when done with Playwright CLI closed. So you can see the way take a snapshot to see the page structure was actually the skill called Playwright CLI screenshot. And I just said, take a screenshot. And even though I said take a screenshot, it still ran the Playwright CLI skill to basically take that screenshot. So that's kind of cool. Right, I've got the screenshot. But you didn't see the browser, right? Well, hang on a second. Let me come to that in a second. I just want to show you what happened over in VS Code. We now have a .playwright CLI folder, and in here we have our screenshot. There we go. Well done. There's a beautiful screenshot, my site. And we have this YAML file. What's in here? So the YAML file is basically my whole page, the accessibility tree of the page. And this has got all these refs. This is what the agent is going to use to find things on the page. And this is all saved locally because it's not being put in the context. And that means it's saving lots of tokens. So it's not context heavy, which is great compared to the Playwright MCP server, which would have put all this into the context. So this is saving it right here locally. So that's really cool. Okay, let's go back and see what else we can do. Now, as I said, it told me it opened up a browser, but I didn't see the browser. Did you? No. So if you want to see the browser, you can do -- headed when you run that command. Now, agents don't need to see the browser. They don't need eyes. They've got eyes. So they don't need to see the browser. This is just for humans. If you want to open the browser, do -- headed, but you generally won't need to do it. I'm going to do it for this video just so you can kind of follow along. But in general, you'll probably be running it mostly without the headed mode. So what else can we do? Well, the browser's now open in headed mode, and we can do anything. So I can literally just use natural language, and I can say, go to the videos page and filter for MCP, and then create a test based from your user from your interactions. So again, I'm actually just writing this in natural language. I'm not using Playwright code. I'm not having to understand anything. I'm just literally basically giving it some instructions, and it should be able to go to the videos page. We should see that change in a second. There you go. Now it should find the MCP filter. You can see the first video there. It has an AI tag, so we'll see it. And if we're following along here, you can see, I can see the videos link at ref E170. They're the refs that it got from that page snapshot that it saved locally into that VS Code folder. So it can see the search box, ref 350, and an MCP tag. So it's kind of going, oh, which will I do? Will I search? No, I'm just actually going to use the tag. That's a quicker way of getting there. So this is really cool. It's really understanding the page. And then it's going to generate a test from the interactions. Let me check the history, generate test. And the Playwright said it doesn't have a built-in generate test command. It doesn't. So it's going to create the test file manually based on the interactions we performed. So there we go. It's created the test. And if you look at this looks like a pretty good test. Now, if you know Playwright code, I know Playwright code. This is pretty good. We've got our await page go to. We've got the expect page to have title, navigation, get by role, link, name videos, to have URL. We're expecting it to have the title. We're then clicking on the MCP. It's using the first one because there are more MCP videos. And you can see over here, the MCP video has changed. So that has worked. And then we're expecting it to have the URL, to have title, and then to get by the role heading level 1 to contain the text of MCP, which is up here, the MCP videos. Probably should capitalize that. So the browser is still open in header mode. Would you like me to run the test to verify it works? Oh, that sounds like a good idea. Let's go ahead and, let's run the test. So again, and I can probably close the browser here because we don't need to look at this browser. So you can close that. And it's going to go ahead and run the test for me. And that's the kind of really cool thing that we can do. We can go ahead and run the test right in Goose. We can create the test. We can navigate. We can browse. And again, as I said, we're using a lot less tokens than when we were using the Playwright MCP server. So this is really cool. So as it's going ahead and running the test, let's go ahead and look at just the other things that we had in here. You can see there's a couple more, right? So every time it was making the change, it was going ahead and refreshing that snapshot. And we should see a change in a second where it goes along here. There's the screenshot it took when it got to the MCP videos page. And we see down here that we're now on the videos page, and you can see how long this is. This is a long page, right? Imagine all that in your context, right? That's kind of, that's the whole point of this. Everything is saved locally, and the CLI agent is able to do things a lot quicker and without basically putting it all in the context and using up all your tokens. So, oh my God, the test has passed, right? Running one test using one worker. It's navigated. It's telling me what it's done. This is really cool. Now I could go into VS Code and press that play button on the actual test. The test code should be in the test folder, which there it is. So I could go ahead and play that test here. But Goose has just run it. The test has passed. Just in case you didn't believe it, because it's like, sounds to be good to be true, right? So that's kind of cool. But wait, there's more. So when we don't know what else we can do, we can just say, Playwright CLI, what else can you do? Right? What else can it do? Because I don't know, you can read the docs, right? But you don't want to. You can just ask the agent. So the agent is basically going to say, here are the capabilities I have. I've got open, go to, click, fill. These are the types of things I can capture and debug. I can do tab management. I can do storage and authentication, network mocking, keyboard and mouse, sessions and config. You can even change the browser. And example use cases, test web apps. I can fill out forms, scrape data, debug issues, test auth flows, record demos, and mock APIs. Would you like me to demonstrate? Let's go ahead and demonstrate something. So I'm going to say, yes, create a video and a trace. Let's do a trace as well for the actions we just performed. So again, I don't even have to remind it of what it just did. We could totally do that if we wanted to. But I'm basically asking it in just normal, natural language to go ahead and create me a video and a Playwright trace so I can go back in time and see exactly what went on. So you can see it's gone ahead and opened the browser because we had the -- headed in there. So it's even remembered that, hey, I had headed in there. You probably won't see a browser if you're not going to run the -- headed. So the browser's popped up. It's going to run through those commands again. And at the same time, it's going to save a video and a trace. This is really, really, really cool. I'm so excited to see the video and the trace. And this makes it really, really good for debugging and for also just checking on, did your agent do exactly what you wanted to do? So maybe you had this big prompt that you wanted to put in, or maybe you're reading from a file and say, I want you to go ahead and do all these actions, do all these things. And then you're like, I don't know, did it actually really do it? It looks too good to be true. Well, let's create a video, right? And you can watch the video and then you can go, wow, it actually did exactly what I wanted to. That's the kind of cool things that you can do. So let's close that browser and let's go back here. Apparently we now have a video and a trace. That was really quick, wasn't it? Let's go ahead and look over here. We've got our video, right? It's in VS Code. So obviously pressing play here is not going to work. And we have a traces folder. So let's go here and it's telling us how to view the trace and how to watch the video is located here, right? But I'm just going to say to Goose, open the video. Like, I just want to see the video. Show me the video. So this should now open the video. Now it's opened it up onto another screen. So let me just drag that over so you can see it. There is my video, right? This is the video it just created. This is it playing. I'm just going to fast forward a little bit, right? You can see it's a video. Oh, there we go. Look. So we can really just follow along. That's amazing. That is amazing, right? I don't know. You could send that in through your pull request to kind of say like, yeah, this is what the agent did. Like, this is amazing, right? That's the video. And now I want to open the trace. I'll let Goose try and figure out how to open the trace. And this is just really cool way of basically understanding what the agent did, following along. I'm super impressed. So the trace file here has got some resources. It's got the network stacks, the trace, and it's got all these files in it. So you can see here, this hasn't worked for me, right? I'm just going to close that. Now I know that the trace file should be a zip. So I know that it should be a zip. So maybe that's just some sort of bug in there. The trace view expects a zip. Let me zip the trace files. So I'm going to get Goose to just zip that for me and then open it up. There we go. So that wasn't that cool. So I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. This is my trace of my agent. Now look at this. I created the page. I started the video, right? Even the agent recorded that it started the video. It navigated to here. It clicked. Look at this, the ref E117. So I needed to go back and check on that. It clicked on E357 and then it stopped the video. Like, that's amazing, right? And we've got the whole timeline view up here, just like you have normally in your Playwright trace. And of course, you've got the call. There's the ref that it used. We've got the log, any errors, the console. You've got the network. You can filter all through those. This is the source for probably not the test code. It's not test code, but we don't need to worry about that. And then the attachments. And then obviously, like you've got locator, you can even just pick a locator in the trace viewer. So you can come along here and click that. And just like you would do with the trace viewer, you've got all those available to you. Like, this is amazingly cool, everybody. And there's so much more you can do with it. This is just a small intro to the Playwright CLI. So check that out. Links in the description of where you need to go. And you see just in a small amount of time, like what you can do. It's pretty cool. Go check it out, everyone. Happy coding.